Hey everybody, today we are talking about glimmers, the little joys in life that we tend to overlook. Welcome back to your Emotional Support Podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Rizzio. Today we're slowing down a little bit and tuning in to these little things called glimmers. They're small, sparkly moments that bring joy, peace, and safety. You've probably had 100 glimmers this week, but maybe you were too busy to notice. So we're going to talk today about how we can pay more attention to those and how those affect our self-worth. Before we dive into glimmers, I just want to say that this is the first episode that I am recording since I quit my job at the school. And so it's a little bittersweet. I really miss my friends. Working with your best friends is something that cannot equate to anything else in the world, especially when you work in a high stress situation like counseling. You lean on your people so much, and to work with my best friends was just one of the highlights of my life. So I will really, really miss seeing them on a daily basis. But obviously, we were at a really good place where I felt like I could go and kind of let them take over, and I don't want to get choked up here, but I love them so much. And so this episode is dedicated to them. Glimmers. All right, so what are glimmers? Let's jump right in. Glimmers, the term glimmers was coined by a woman named Deb Dana, and she coined the polyvagal theory. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But basically what she introduced was that glimmers are the opposite of triggers. You know, triggers are those things that kind of spark our anxiety and our discomfort, where glimmers are things that spark our state of regulation, calm, and connection. Okay, so they're the exact opposite of something that might trigger us. They're not big, they're subtle. Like, here are some examples, like the sun hitting your face just right. It's not doing that today because it's very cloudy out, but you can imagine it. Or hearing your favorite song at that perfect moment, or even just a song that kind of like takes you back to some point in your life and you just needed that kind of nostalgia right that moment. When a dog makes eye contact with you in passing, I love that. You're out taking a walk and you don't make eye contact with the owner, but you make eye contact with the dog. That's funny. Or someone texting you just to say they're thinking of you. You know, these little tiny things, it's your nervous system's way of saying, hey, you're safe right now. Just letting you know that like things are okay. So why do glimmers matter for self-worth? When we notice what feels good, we remind ourselves that we deserve good things and that there are good things all around us. Even when maybe things are in an upheaval in our lives, or, you know, things are really stressful, we can notice those little glimmers and remember that things aren't always this stressful, or everything isn't this, I don't know, serious or bad. I really don't like to use that word, but that's okay. Glimmers reconnect us with that joy that isn't necessarily earned. It just is, right? These aren't things that we made happen, or that, you know, they're just things that happen. There's just things in the world that happen that are good and that are joyful. And just to kind of be present in those moments, they anchor us in the present. They pull us out of that autopilot and shift our self-talk to what's wrong with me to what's right around me. It kind of helps you reframe those thoughts, right? Building self-worth isn't just about affirmations and telling yourself that things are good, but it's about being present and noticing what nourishes you and what brings you joy and what joyful things are already around you. It's You don't have to cultivate all that joy. You just have to notice it. So if we did have to cultivate it, if we did have to kind of seek it out, how do we find and cultivate those glimmers? Well, the first step is to really slow down and pay attention. Okay, if you are sprinting around your life, you're not going to be able to see those little things, right? So it's just kind of about slowing down and being present in the here and now and noticing and paying attention to those things around you. Another thing that you could do is start a glimmer list. You could either just like sit down and think about different things that bring you peace and joy and softness, or you could just start a list and write down things as you find them. Okay, so it could be a kind of, you could sit down and make a list right here and now of all of the things you could think of up the top of your head, or you could just start a note in your phone, and then when you do notice things, you jot them in there. It could be like a work in progress type thing. Little things like fresh sheets. There's nothing like crawling into bed when you've changed those sheets. Hearing birds sing. Okay, I know sometimes, depending on who you are, that can be a trigger, but it could also be a glimmer to some of us as well. And that's the thing about glimmers, is you are not going to have the same list as your best friend or your husband or your mom. They're going to be very different because it's what brings you peace and joy. Using intentional cues, right? And this is in order to kind of get yourself to stop and slow down. Take 3 deep breaths every time you step outside, just to kind of recenter yourself and look, listen, and feel to the things that are around you, and notice what's going on around you. Instead of just like throwing your kids in the car and rushing off wherever you're going. Say it out loud or write it down, like I said, in your glimmer list. That felt really good. Taking notice, taking actual like verbal notice of what made you feel good, it reinforces your awareness of what's making you feel good. So like you step outside and you get like a whiff of lilacs, a lilac bush nearby or something like that, and you're like, oh, that felt so good just to experience that. And that just kind of, like I said, reinforces your awareness and your presence. And then just make space for joy on purpose. Like I said, you don't have to always be cultivating your own joy. Joy can just happen, and it often does just happen that way. It doesn't have to be productive. It can just be, right? You don't have to say, okay, what am I going to do to bring myself joy today? Although you can, and that is another self-care, strategy that we've talked about. But you can just say, okay, what am I going to notice that already brings me joy today? And then it's not necessarily you having to add something else to your list of something that you have to do. It's just you being more aware and more present in what's already happening around you. Okay, so you don't need a full life overhaul to feel more joy. You just need to notice those little sparks, those little glimmers. My challenge to you is to write down 3 glimmers that you notice today. That will get your list started. Share one with someone else. Call up your friend or tell your son or daughter or your grandma, hey, this is what I noticed today and it really brought me joy. Joy gets bigger and more joyful when it's shared with other people. Um, a bonus is you could create a glimmer jar where you drop in a note every time you spot a glimmer. I think this is one of the lessons in my curriculum that I just wrote for elementary and middle school students. I can't remember what grade it is, but it's like a glimmer jars. Every time you notice something good, drop that little note in the jar. You could even put some little twinkle lights in it or something like that, something fun. But then that's something that you get to go back to, same as the glimmer list, if you don't create a whole jar about it. But you can go back and you can look at that in times when maybe it's hard to see those joyful moments, or maybe it's, a time where you are struggling to see those joyful moments, and you can go back to that jar or that list and you can remember, hey, these are the things that have brought me joy, and maybe that will remind you that it's not maybe as dire as it seems in that very moment. Just here's the reminder that you didn't ask for but definitely need. You are worthy of peace, beauty, and joy every single day, not just when you've earned it. Glimmers remind us you are allowed to feel good, and you absolutely, most certainly, 100% are. I am so glad you're here. Have a great week, everyone.